And indeed, as you've obviously, if you're sort of like looking at the inks and you're like inspecting them just to like check on them, as you're looking at the infernal ink, let's call it for want of a better phrase, as you're sort of like shaking that about and you're trying to peer into it, occasionally you see what appear to be like vague sort of suggestions of like screaming faces inside of the ink, but every time you try and look at them to get more detail, they sort of like vanish back into the ink. It's just like an impression.
Very Edvard Munch.
Indeed.
Skeleton mop wielding, what the? Because can't say as I've ever heard of this stank ward. That's not from round these parts, me old mate. Yeah, hey, Jackdaw. I ain't being funny, mate, but this geezer here, he don't half look he's a ringer for you, son. I tell you what, she's a bleeding pain in my butt.
Oh, them bloody taxes.
Bleeding taxes, bleeding the poor dry she is. I'll give her taxes.
Yeah, it's a shame we can't take the book
You
out.
get me in front of that. You get me in front of that Elspeth. I'll give her a piece of my mind.
No, but we can copy
I'll
it.
get executed.
Yeah, we do. We can copy it. That's true.
Yes. And bring the copy with us, no problem. It's just the book itself can't leave the library.
Yeah, and I guess bringing the royal court here is a bit out of the question.
Well, maybe we could bring the mad bitch here and leave her here.
I know enough about this stuff. I know what we need to do. We need to stage a coup.
A coop, like for pigeons, chickens.
Yeah, a coup.
I don't get it.
C-O-O-O-P, coup.
The companions continued to explore the strange depths of this extra-dimensional Stygian library. They appear to have found a calculation engine which you can ask questions to, and it seems to confirm the things that they'd read earlier about Jackdaw's heritage and that he may potentially be the true heir to the throne. However, as they're pondering precisely what this means to them, a number of figures begin to file in from behind the machine. These four solemn grey figures, heads down, long cowled hoods over their faces, solemnly began filing into the room. The strange grey-clad monks don't seem concerned with the party's presence, and ignoring them, begin to check over the machines. Jackdaw tears off the part of the ticker tape containing the answer to his questions, and then, thinking that Lieutenant Uffington might have some questions of his own for the machine, steps aside. You can see it's almost like a sort of archaic old like typewriter keyboard, but made out of sort of brass and metal fixings. You can see all of the letters of the alphabet and various punctuations, and obviously you've seen Jackdaw sort of type in his questions in sort of fairly standard English and receive a response.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm assuming it understands who we are by the final question. So I'll skip the preliminaries and just go in and ask it, or type in, where is my fiancé?
Okay, you type in where is your fiancé, and after a few moments, the armature with the sort of quill on it, this little brass armature, dips it into a pot of ink, and then begins writing as this ticker tape scrolls past, and it says, "She is below Great London."
Right. I guess that's as clear enough an answer as I would expect from such a device. I shall step back. Thank you, Jackdaw.
Given the somewhat cryptic nature of the first answer he received, Lieutenant Uffington decides to question the machine further.
What is below Great London?
Okay, you type in what is below Great London. Again, this armature dips the quill into the ink and begins scrawling on this ticker tape, and it says the sewers and the remains of ancient Goman settlements.
There you are. I think a trip into the sewers may be in order at some point.
Maybe ask it where best to go below city.
For what purpose? To find my...
Yeah, which of the city wards would be the best? Something to that effect.
Okay, is she below a specific city ward? If so, which one?
Again, the quill begins to scratch on the parchment and it says, data contradictory.
Perhaps he doesn't understand the wards. Contradictory. That's actually too many questions. Which city ward is she under?
Bishopsgate.
Which building is she below?
Data contradictory.
So, Lieutenant, it's more than we had a few minutes ago.
What about the plague, though?
Well, oh yes, that's the plague, of course. The main reason we're here. What should I ask? Is there a cure for the plague? Is there a cure for the plague? Tick, 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 tick.
Data confirmed.
Ah. Where is the cure for the plague?
Okay, again and it says see shelf 500, section C, subsection red 3.
Okay, tear that piece out for later.
Indeed.
Okay, so I'm gonna tap the lieutenant on the shoulder. I don't wish to be insensitive, but perhaps you should ask if your beloved is in good health.
Alive is what he means, I guess.
Shut up. Trust you, Jackdaw. God, you.
Who was being sensitive, Jackdaw? I shall ask.
Okay, so what exactly are you typing in, Lieutenant?
Is my fiance alive?
There's an odd sort of clanking sound from inside the machine, and you actually see like a few sparks come out of the mechanism, and then the stylus again dips itself in, but it appears to like pause over the ticker tape, and then it begins scratching, and it just says error contradictory input.
Well, I'm not sure I like that.
Yeah, I kind of get it, though.
Their task finished, the grey-robed figures begin to file out of the room, but Friar Dunstan stops them to ask them some questions.
Excuse me, brother librarians. Is there any chance that you would be able to assist us?
As you say that, all of the librarians stop their motion. They all turn round in unison, and at the same time, all of them with the same voice say, How may we assist?
We found a creature in the next room who had, we believe, stolen a soul. And I'll hold my hand out to Jackdaw, indicating that he should give me the soul back.
Yeah, I'll fetch the repository for the soul that I picked up from our assailant, or the being that we assailed. I'm not sure how that works, but...
Okay, so you bring out this glass cylinder with this strange sort of spiral of blue-grey mist in it, and as you hold it out, the 4 monks all step toward you, and again in unison they all say, We appreciate your assistance. We will file this away in the appropriate place. And one of them reaches out towards this glass cylinder that you're holding, Jackdaw.
Well, that was considerably easier than I thought it would be.
So I'll say we're also looking for shelf 500. Can you give us any support in finding it?
Again, all in unison, they reply, yes, the shelf that you are seeking is another 8 layers down. The group ask the librarians several other questions about how they can reach their destination and receive directions from them. One of the librarians, the one holding the glass soul receptacle, is inspecting it for damage when Friar Dunstan asks him another question.
That we understood that the White Order looked after the machines.
That is correct. They all respond.
Okay. And yes, you are with the Grey Order and you're looking after this machine. Why is that?
We were in the area of the machine coming to inspect the urns when we sensed the presence of one of the shades, and he holds up the glass vial. So we came to investigate. Whilst we were here, we decided to perform some basic maintenance. Whilst this conversation is occurring, Big Mick has been looking over a number of urns lining the side of the rooms. Each of them appears to have a person's name and a date on them. He calls over to the lieutenant.
Lieutenant, have a look at this. You're well connected. Do any of these names mean anything to you?
Oh, let me see.
Most of the names on the urns mean nothing at all to the lieutenant. However, he does recognise one of them.
My former captain, Captain Henry Fothergill. He died in the recent battle in which I received my wounds. That's Fothergill with 2 L's and an E, apparently, as he always said. I recognise this gentleman. He was my commanding officer. Deceased. Yes, the date ties. I wonder if all of these are the souls that they mentioned.
Yeah, it would seem that way.
As you're saying that, the grey monks turn towards you, Lieutenant, and again in unison, they all say, these are not the shades that have been filed in the library, these are simply mortal remains. After further conversation with the librarian, it becomes clear that their goal and their job is to shepherd the souls of those who die in the library and file them neatly away to prevent problems. Friar Dunstan asks him a question about this strange machine. The great machine itself has multiple areas where people can ask it questions. The machine itself is so large that it could not possibly fit into one discrete area.
Okay.
After some further discussion, the party choose to continue their explorations into the library. Picking an exit, they push forwards. You continue through the first exit on the left. You see the almost omnipresent bookshelves lining the walls. As you walk into it, you see numerous other exits. Your eye, however, is drawn to a large doorway which seems to be like much big, almost like a double doorway, like a sort of castle doorway. It's made of this gnarled dark wood with like a grey stone frame. It has black iron hinges and a sturdy lock. Around there's decorative metalwork around the sort of gilt frame of this door, all of which appears to be carved into sort of leering, grotesque faces. There's a huge iron knocker on the door, again also carved into like a leering grotesque.
That's a bit ominous looking, don't you think?
Big Mick places his ear against the ominous looking door, and faintly on the other side of it he can hear a voice talking. Yes, just file the paperwork in in the normal place. So there's some new clients coming in. I don't have a time to look at it now. Yes, just put it there, and I'll rubber stamp it all when I get back in. That's absolutely fine. Yes, you're doing a fine job.
Well, I'll step away. Well, gents, there's somebody in there, and they sound quite official. They're doing some sort of filing. I think somebody quite important.
The door creaks open, revealing a roiling cloud of black smoke and flame. A smartly dressed man with a horned goat's head steps out of the door, seemingly mid-conversation with someone on the other side, turns towards the party and says, good morning to you all.
Good morning to you. My name is Friar Dunstan, and these are my companions.
I should say it is.
Pleased to meet you. Is there a whiff of brimstone on the air?
There most definitely is.
So I will indicate that we are looking for Shelf 500 and ask him, can he be of assistance?
The odd creature explains that it's a lawyer and that it can't just give information away for free. That wouldn't be good for its business. The companions seem confused by the mention of it being a lawyer, and it tries to explain. Well, you see, let me try and explain it like this. You see, every place on every world has its own laws, and the place I come from, and he indicates like a sort of shaggy furred hand at the door, is no exception. I suppose I'm something of, you might call like a legal expert.
What sort of field of expertise are you in exactly? Because it's not apparent to me just as I stand here looking at you.
He smiles, and he sort of like, he goes like that with his hand, and as he does, like a scroll appears in his hand and unfurls. You can see various sort of strange runes on it that sort of hurt your eyes to look at it. Because, of course, my card, and he sort of holds the scroll out towards you. So, as you can see, I'm accredited in all manner of infernal laws.
Accredited, you say?
Indeed, of course.
Is there any chance any of us would speak Infernal?
Friar Dunstan peers at the runes and thinks it's some form of corrupted Latin, but he can't really make out the exact meanings. Jackdaw is surprised that when he looks at it, he can read it absolutely fine. It's basically a long list of like his credentials. It effectively says that he's licensed by the fifth layer of the pit to trade in souls and such other matters on behalf of his overlord, and to render what assistance may be necessary to secure such souls, items, etc.
Okay. Does it talk about the law bit at all? Because this is just this like, I'm a soul trader license. But does it specify?
Effectively, as you're sort of reading it through, like in like very tiny, like small print at the bottom of it, it says that he is, if he agrees to an agreement, he's bound to the letter of that agreement.
Okay, well that's very useful information.
But it also said that he's only bound to it as long as the other party acts in good faith and holds up their end of the deal. Now, what help was it you were asking for in particular? Friar Dunstan attempts to bargain with the strange goat-horned demon, asking it whether it can help them end the plague. The demon lawyer replies that of course it could, but it's not authorised to act on a no-fee basis.
Yeah, it's not a charity that you do.
Indeed not. I'm a businessman, a legal professional. Quid pro quo is our philosophy. Haggling continues for several minutes about how much the demon would charge them to help them cure the laughing plague that afflicts Great London. Whilst Friar Dunstan is considering this, Lieutenant Uffington asks the demon lawyer if he'd be willing to help him find his lost fiancée. The demon says that it'd be willing to do so, however it would require a soul of equal value to hers in order to complete the transaction. Now, obviously this is equal value in the eyes of yourself, and he gestures at the lieutenant, since you are the one I would be entering into a contract with. While this conversation's going on, what are the rest of you doing?
I would like to look about ye old Baphomet office.
Okay.
So, like, is it a lawyer's office, or is it like, oh, that's the there's a throne of skulls in the back, and
Now, like I say, it's just this door that's now been shut. The actual room itself's fairly unremarkable, although it does appear sort of quite large and spacious in here, to the point where as you're talking, your voice seems to echo a little. It's as though the library's opened up into like a large sort of hall.
So are there bookshelves here as well?
There are bookshelves here, yep.
Righto. I will browse those. Like, what can be found? Yeah.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Roll me a D100.
Oh, this is good. I've been waiting for this table. 39.
Okay. As you're sort of perusing the shelves, it will come as no surprise to you that all of the books in here have a sort of infernal leaning as you're sort of like reading through them.
Yep.
And as you're sort of browsing along the shelves, you see what appears to be, it's some sort of like almanac, and as you open it up, it's again written in this sort of like strange infernal language, with bits of common dotted here and there. But it appears to largely be an almanac talking about the social dynamics of the various denizens of the pit. Taking the infernal codex from the shelves, Jackdaw begins to pore through it, looking curiously at the information contained within. What's Fry Dunstan up to?
I guess I'm kind of waiting for the demon to finish with the lieutenant so we can go back and talk about the plague.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of hovering.
That's fair enough. What about Big Mick?
I think he's just skulking about, taking it all in, listening into the conversations, thinking about potential souls. That he's going through a list of his worst enemies, thinking, yeah, there's a few potential souls there that we could trade in.
Okay, so as Fry Dunstan's lurking around, and Mick, you're sort of thinking, I know a few people whose souls you could bloody have. The demon's carrying on talking to the lieutenant, and he says, well, you see, most people believe that there's alive and there's dead. However, there's also a sort of, I suppose you'd call it like a legal grey area in between. And I'm getting the sense that's where this person that you're looking for is at the moment.
I just sort of mutter to myself, like, sometimes it's literally a grey area. And I look over with my grey face.
Yeah. Could we take your card and perhaps contact you if we need?
The demon lawyer seems quite willing and hands the lieutenant a scroll containing infernal runes that he says will summon him should the lieutenant change his mind about accepting the bargain. However, he warns them that given the plague and the influx of souls, they're quite busy in the pit at the moment, and that he shouldn't wait too long before seeking to call in the deal. At which point Fry Dunstan steps in and he asks what the cost of being given the cure and a way out of the library would be against the cost of being just pointed in the right direction. As well, a gentle push in the right direction. I'd probably ask for some small item, something precious that you place value on. That's no great cost. And I point you in the right direction and give you a few directions to send you on your way. But I tell you what, as a sign of good faith, and he smirks a little as he says that, and he leans in a bit close to you, Fry, and you can like smell the brimstone wafting off his goatish face. And he says, "Now don't tell anyone in the pit that I've done this, but I don't want word getting around. But as a little sample of what I have to offer, I'll tell you now." And he holds up his hands and says, and I tell you there is no cost attached to this piece of information I'm going to give you now, that the plague itself is not natural, and it has been caused by a being summoned from the pit.
Okay. Okay. And would your free information go as far as to tell us whether the plague would be cured by the death of this creature?
Well, it's I can't tell you. I can't tell you that exactly. I will tell you that the being that's been summoned, it's not really a creature as such. It's more of an idea. The demon explains that certain strong emotions from the pit can take root in the human psyche, prompting people to act in certain ways and almost taking on a life of their own.
Mm. And if such an idea were to be unsummoned, how might one go about that?
Now we're really getting outside the realm of my free information there. I'm afraid I would have to start charging for such information. I really shouldn't have given you that freebie, to be honest, but well, you seem like nice people, and I'm always keen to set up a potential new customer base. A little more haggling occurs, with Friar Dunstan expressing his distrust for communing with a demon. The lawyer suggests that perhaps him and the good friar should discuss the matter privately. He gestures at the baroque carved door, and it swings open once again, revealing the carpet of smoke and flames, masking all within it. The demon swears to sign a contract that the friar will come to no harm whilst he is beyond the doorway, and that he will be allowed to leave in the same manner that he entered, swearing that he will even sign a contract to the effect if the friar wishes. The friar says that will not be necessary and steps through the door after him, which swings shut with a loud slam. Okay, so Friar Dunstan, you find yourself in quite a sort of a plush looking office, wooden furniture, all carved. Most of the wood has like these carved leering faces on it. There's a desk with piled up paperwork in the centre of the room. The goat-headed figure sits down in a chair on one side of the desk and gestures at a chair on the other, and he says, but please sit down. There's no reason why we can't be comfortable while we're discussing this. What would you care for? A drink, some food?
No, thank you. I'm eager to be about my business, about our business.
Of course. The demon asks the friar if he were to give him the cure for the plague, just as a rough estimate, how many souls does the good friar think that would be saved as a result of this information? The friar pauses for a few moments and then gives a cautious estimate of 10,000 souls. If I'm to give you this cure, obviously I will expect a cost, a price commensurate with the thousands, as you said, souls that I may be saving, and that's your words, not mine. Now, as I've said, we don't really get an opportunity to speak to many members of the cloth while we're here. So if I'm to handle this and to tidy up this nasty business for you, I would want your soul. Not now, of course, just when you're done with it. You can live a normal life in the world, do whatever you see fit. If we're to make a contract to this effect, I'll write a clause in that says, if I or any agent of the pit hasten your demise in any fashion, then the contract will be null and void. But should you die a natural death, your soul would be forfeit. That seems like a reasonable price for saving thousands of souls.
It does, but I fear that it is a price that I am not in a position to pay.
The demon tries to tempt the friar into accepting the bargain by saying that many people who have believed themselves holy and good have, through their actions, ended up in the pit. He offers to write a clause into the contract that, should the friar sign this deal, his soul will not go into the mass of damned souls roiling in the pit, but he would instead receive employment as a functionary of hell itself. A sort of get out of jail clause that meant that even if he committed sins in his life, he would not simply be cast into the fire with the other damned souls. The friar is uncertain about this, but remains secure in his faith, and trying to put the demon off, tells him that he needs some time to think about the matter. I gave your colleague the scroll to summon me, so if you want to take some time to think about it, feel free to do so. You simply have to get someone to read the scroll if you wish to call on me. And obviously, I can't say that this offer is going to last forever, but have a little time to think about it. Like I said, I'm not here to force you in any way or to coerce you or anything like that. I'm not one of these. I know what your books tell you about us. I'm not one of these tempting devils who's trying to trick you with words or legalese or anything like that. I'm simply saying there will be a contract in which I will give you a way to cure this plague and directions to get you out of this library, and in return, when you die of natural causes, your soul would be under my purview. That is the sole extent of our transaction, if you'll forgive the pun.
Indeed, I will. Well, thank you very much for your time. I will sleep on your offer and call on you if I believe that this is a deal that I can make.
Well, he holds out his hand and says, "Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you."
And I'll
The demon asks Friar Dunstan to leave by the way in which he entered and to close the door behind him. He does so and finds himself back in the same chamber in the Stygian library with his companions. He explains to them what's occurred, but says that he's not willing to pay that price at the moment. After a little bit of discussion, they decide to press on into the library and seek a cure to the plague on their own. The party enter into a large chamber containing many shelves crammed with written material. It appears to be a room where written material for the library is stored before it's filed away properly. After poking around the shelves and looking amongst the paperwork, Big Mick finds what appears to be a small child's porcelain doll depicting a small girl tucked beneath a stack of papers.
I'm thinking I don't want anything to do with that.
Further exploration pauses when Big Mick spots what appears to be a small marmoset or monkey peering at him from the top of one of the shelves, and after luring it out with some food, they realise that there are a number of these strange small monkeys that appear to be built out of volcanic glass. Mick thinks perhaps it might be good fun to have these mischievous creatures who seem to mean the group no harm along with them on the rest of their expedition.
I think Mick's not easily intimidated by such things, and probably out of curiosity, I think I'll just get out a bit more food and just be sort of entranced by watching them eating this food. So I just sort of stand there for a minute.
The same monkey again sort of reaches out a little hand towards you holding out this food, and one of the other monkeys like slaps it away to try and get at the food, and there's a loud squealed exchange of that as he like bats this other monkey out of the way, and it protests loudly as this second monkey like grabs a bit of the food and like,
Mick, how do you figure this helps us with the plague cure?
Plague cure? What are you on about, plague cure? I was just feeding the monkeys. What's up with you?
Whilst Mick is playing around with the tiny monkey constructs and feeding them a little bits of food, Friar Dunstan has been searching around the rest of the room and has found a small silver birch wand with intricate copper inlays wrapping around the shaft of the implement.
I think I'll put that in my backpack and investigate it more later.
Absolutely fine. Okay, what's the plan, guys?
Is there anything else in the room apart from this pile of paperwork? And the monkeys, of course.
Oh yeah, who could forget the monkeys?
Well, not Mick anyway.
Okay. As you're sort of searching through the paperwork, you continue your search. You find what appears to be quite a sort of thick book. It's written in Latin, but sort of like just skimming through it, it appears to be some sort of initiatory text. It appears to be describing a way that someone can very quickly dedicate themselves to the work of the gods. After perusing the tome for a while, the friar comes to the startling realization that this tome appears to give someone a shortcut to forsaking their previous life and profession and dedicating themselves to and receiving power from the gods, effectively instructing someone how to become a cleric and slough off their previous lives. Realizing how dangerous this could be, he tucks it back under the pile of books. Meanwhile, Mick is attempting to lure the monkeys with more food to get them to continue with them on their journey. After a while, the monkeys seem to lose interest and they begin climbing back up to the top of the shelf where they originally came from.
Oh well. See you, little monkeys.
The one who first came down sort of like stops at the top, turns around, he's like, and then he like disappears over the lip of the shelf. As you continue further into the library, you enter into what appears to be a long gallery. It's filled with several dozen statues on pedestals. Each of them is lifelike, showing out a human figure. Most of them are relaxed. They're either lying down, they're seated, or they're reclining. Each of them is like incredibly well carved, like on a par with some of like the best carvings or works of art you've ever seen. So, as you're sort of looking around, you see what appears to be a statue of Mary the Butcher's daughter. She's lying sort of propped up on one elbow, and there's just an immaculately carved like single piece of cloth just like draped over, covering her body, but there's still the suggestive curves of her beautiful form underneath it.
I think Mick will just sort of stand there ogling.
Indeed, and she has that sort of whimsical half smile on her stony carved face, rather like the smile you might see on the Mona Lisa, where it appears to be like enigmatic or like slight amusement. After exploring the room for a short while, all of the group start to get this strange feeling as though they're being watched, and as they look up, they see affixed in the four corners of the room where the walls meet the ceiling are what appear to be glass globes containing a roiling purple mist. They tap on them and see that they are indeed glass, and they can't shake this strange feeling that they're being watched. Jackdaw suggests that they move on.
This is a room that makes me feel uncomfortable, and I definitely think that we should move on.
Do you not recognise any of these statues? Does anybody else recognise them? Because this one looks bang like Mary the Butcher's daughter, bang on for her.
Pushing on further into the library, they encounter a chamber that appears to have a giant furnace of sorts with a huge steam boiler above it and a coal scuttle half full set next to it. Brass pipes run from the boiler into the walls, ceiling and floor. The slight tss of steam can be heard from them, and it seems as though this place provides power for some other part of the library, perhaps. They look around a little bit, but finding nothing of particular interest, are about to move on when Big Mick says,
"One thing, guys. I was just wondering, if we somehow shut the power off, if there was things and we could turn them so that the heating might not be circulated, perhaps someone would come along to attend to the matter, and then we could question them about the whereabouts of room 500 or bookshelf 500, something like that. Or maybe that's a long shot, I don't know.
I think we should wait until we get to level 13 or whatever it is,
Okay.
and then ask."
The group push on and enter a chamber full of ripped and torn books. At the far end of the chamber is what appears to be a giant beehive of sorts, although it's constructed entirely of a paper mache-like substance.
I sure hope that whatever knocked those off didn't come from there, because that would be terrifying.
Yeah.
As you're listening, you can hear like a slight zzz coming from the hive.
I think we should pass by quickly and stealthily.
And quietly. Yeah.
Is it by our only exit, or is there a way to avoid it? Like
You could go round it. It's not built over the door or anything.
For the fallen bookshelves, first off, do they have books still? Are books scattered around?
Yeah, there's still some books scattered around.
Anything specific on those shelves that have been pushed down?
Okay. Okay, as you're searching around, you see that most of the books in this area appear to deal with mythology of various sorts. As they're about to pass by the hive, the group notice that there are several cracks on the surface of it, and what appears to be this strange black glutinous substance is slowly leaking out of it. Yeah, there's like an odd sort of smell coming from the black goo. It smells a little bit like ink, but there's an odd sort of like sweet smell coming from it as well.
So do you?
some weird honey.
Yeah, a thought occurs. Black honey from library bees. I don't.
Well,
I
they
don't-
probably like chew up the books or something, or feed on the books to make their
So it's stained by the ink then.
Hmm.
Why wouldn't the maintenance get rid of this?
Yeah, don't know.
Because if it's supposed to happen, then I guess by that logic, like we would be safe. Like we could harvest that and make mead or whatever. I don't know if Friar here is into the whole brewing thing, but
I'm fond of a brew, but not made from black honey.
It's bound to have some sort of magical properties. Maybe like it would endow you with the knowledge of these myths if you imbibed in this this mead made from this honey, or if you ate this honey.
now that you say it like that, I don't think the church would approve of anyone drinking this mead.
I don't work for the church.
Yes, but please remember the chalk.
Well, you know.
Well, what are you suggesting? Are you suggesting Big Mick's going to like dip his finger in it?
Yeah, I'm thinking that Big Mick, there's every likelihood that Big Mick would do exactly that.
Unable to restrain his curiosity, Big Mick samples some of the honey, sucking it off the end of his finger. It has a sweet, with a slightly sour aftertaste to it, but doesn't taste unpleasant.
I could get accustomed to that.
Roll me a d8.
Oh yeah,
The voice from beyond.
the demon honey voice.
Oh. A 1.
Okay, that's absolutely fine.
He's grinning, look, he's bleeding grinning.
Are you gonna pull a bee version of the fly over here, Big Mick? Like, are you gonna find a way, like life does?
As you're having this chat with the rest of your companions, sort of wiping these bits of honey off your mouth, Mick, obviously, like I say, you're all aware of this lower level coming from in the hive. However, to your ears and your ears alone, Mick, these buzzings slowly start resolving into like strange sort of buzzing voices.
Oh wow, that's cool. What are they saying?
They mostly appear to be saying things like carry the food to the queen, protect the hive, gather more food, make more honey, build the hive, make the hive stronger, protect the queen, and that sort of thing.
Wow. Looking from side to side, looking to see if anybody else is kind of tuned into it, and can you hear that? They're talking to each other. The bees are talking to each other.
Realising that Mick seems to have gained the ability to understand the bees, his companions suggest that perhaps he should try and communicate back with them.
How long have you been here, fellas?
Okay, as you say that, the buzzing intensifies slightly, and 6 of these large bees, about yay long, covered in yellow and black banding, emerge from the hive and start circling around in the room. And again, the buzzing resolves into words, and it says 100 generations.
100 generations. That's quite some time. And the librarians are happy for you to...
The group try asking the bees some further questions, with Mick acting as a translator. However, the insects appear to have extremely limited understanding, saying only that they've been here for a long time. They don't appear to understand the concept of a librarian, and that they feed off their forests. Mick starts getting the idea that perhaps they should harvest some of this honey, but he doesn't want to enrage the bees.
Fellow bees, may I trouble you for some of this fine honey to keep me sustained through the winter? If it's not too much of an imposition on your hospitality.
Okay, the bees hover down over where this black gelatinous substance is leaking out, and they don't so much just say, yeah, help yourself, but you get the feeling that they're fine with you sort of like taking what's on the outside of the hive. Friar Dunstan empties out the vial of mundane ink that they found earlier on their expedition, and Big Mick uses it to gather up some of this black gelatinous honey.
Right. There we go, chaps. Never know when that might come in handy.
It's a solid plan if you give up the slaughtering and all.
Yeah, I reckon I could make a few coins with this black honey for sure.
On one of the passages further on, you hear a sound like...
Like a flapping book.
Indeed.
Oh dear, I take out my bearded axe. Oh, I hope it's not one of those things from
Okay.
earlier.
As you're sort of saying that, you see from a nearby passage what appear to be 7 books, but they're sort of like flapping their pages like that. Sort of like flying through the air, almost like birds.
What then? Are they coming our way?
They appear to be.
Are they chasing anyone, or?
They don't appear to be. They're flying in almost like a sort of small flock.
They may be coming for the bees. I know they've not removed the books from the place, but have they? Don't know. They've destroyed the books.
At this point, I'm going to ask, can you all make me an initiative roll? So that's a straight D10 roll.
Yep.
The old D10.
Yep. The classic.
Yeah,
Classic.
the classic.
7. Is there a modifier for...
No, it's just a straight D10.
Oh yeah, you said that.
So let me just add those in. Jackdaw, quick on the draw as ever.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, the lieutenant, though. Military bearing, obviously, paying off.
Yeah.
The NPCs, however.
Yeah, those are some quick books. Quick reads.
That's it, man. They're just short novelettes. Jackdaw, what's your AC?
Not a lot. Minus mine because I don't have my shield. So 13 would be what we're looking. Ooh!
It's got a +3, so.
Oh shit!
Okay, so you take 4 hit points of damage as one of these books just literally goes into the side of your head.
So what happens is the book hits me in the face. I probably from the surprise because I was on the lookout for they're chasing some ne'er-do-well or whatever, and I was like, oh well, we've done nothing, so I'm fine with it. I'm ready to let the books pass in their migratory pattern, and just hit me in the face, and I just bonk my head on the wall, and I'm just on the ground. I am at 0.
Jeez.
Okay, yeah, so this book just smashes in with a loud thud into the side of Jackdaw's head, and he just hits the deck.
Yeah, so there's a bearded axe on the floor. No, because
There's a loud as it hits the floor. Okay, so Lieutenant.
Is it my go? Or
It is your go, yeah.
Well, the one that just struck Jackdaw, has it carried on, or is it within reach?
Yeah, it's within reach. It's just literally smacked into the side of his head and rebounded off, and now it's
I shall try and skewer it.
Okay, make an attack roll.
I will leave a scathing review.
0 on TripAdvisor.
Just really looking for my sword. Sword.
Do they appear to be definitely harassing us, John, or are we kind of in the way of?
Well, one of them's just knocked Jackdaw unconscious, so I'd say the likelihood.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was if it got at him on the way by. Do you know what I mean? If it.
No, the flock appears to be sort of gathering around you. Okay,
Yeah, right.
Roll your damage, Lieutenant. Okay, and since you rolled a natural 20, I'm going to double that. So,
Oh shit! Get shredded.
so describe, Lieutenant, how you destroy this book utterly.
Okay, it happens to be one that's been bound by in such a way. It's not like a ring bind on it's string rather than
Okay.
like coiled steel encased in plastic. And I just right up the spine, ding 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 ding, and it just.
Indeed, you sever the binding, just this cloud of paper just falls to the ground, inert.
Huh.
Okay, so obviously Jackdaw's unconscious. Big Mick.
Yeah, where's that big bone? That big bone club?
It's on my belt or whatever. It's on me.
Would I be able to grab that up and bash a book, or is it not within my?
Yeah, you can grab it up. Go for it.
Yeah, yep. Grab up the bone and.
Okay,
start.
so roll a d20 and add your strength score to it.
Yeah, I think that's
Strength modifier.
Subtract my strength modifier. What do I get there?
Okay, you have hit it. You swing this bone club after grabbing it off Jackdaw. It thuds into one of these books, but it's still
Ugh. Take that, you bugger.
Okay, Fry Dunstan.
I would like to move towards Jackdaw and pull out my bandages and start to bandage him up so that he doesn't bleed out.
Fry Dunstan runs over to where Jackdaw has fallen, pulling bandages out of his pack and applying them to his friend's wounds to stop him from bleeding any further.
Okay, so it's the NPCs. So Mick, what's your armour class?
I've just got a leather coat.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that was on the equipment list that has a leather coat, I believe, wasn't it?
Okay, well, I've only got a 4, so that's not going to hit you anyway.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one. Okay, that will have hit you. Okay, you take 1 hit point of damage as one of these books flies past you. One of its pages slices your cheek in a paper cut, scoring a thin crimson line across your cheek.
Oh, you bugger!
Okay, so Fry Dunstan, what's your AC?
It is 14.
Okay, so 1 miss. Hit 1 hits you. And that is 4 hit points of damage. And one of these books just like smashes into the side of your head. Lieutenant, what's your AC?
14.
1 miss. 1 hit. Okay, you take 2 hit points of damage. Again, as one of these books moves past you, scores a paper cut just across your cheek there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we're on to yourself, Lieutenant. It's your go.
If only oil would burn.
For my sword.
If only, if only.
Duck and swipe.
Go for it.
Yeah, I try a chop rather than a stab this time, I think. Chop.
Okay.
Should have stabbed.
You go to chop one of these books, but it flutters back out of range of your weapon.
Yeah.
Okay, Big Mick. Okay, you've hit. Presume you're attacking the same book, Mick. Okay. So, describe how you take down one of these books with your bone club.
Yeah, I reckon so. I'm trying to keep him away from Jackdaw a little bit in his sort of state of his injured state, and I reckon I just like swing up as if to like bat it away and knock it down, and then when it hits the floor, I just set about it, pounding on it.
Okay, so as one of these books starts diving down towards Jack, you effectively like baseball swing up underneath it, knocking it off the floor, and then you're like with this bone club.
Yeah, and some stamping on it as well.
You pretty much mash it into like a thin sort of smear of paper mache, leaving 5 of the books remaining. Fry Dunstan, you've bandaged up Jackdaw. There's still 5 of these books fluttering around.
So the books that are fluttering around, how many of them do I think I could get in a 20-foot diameter circle without getting any of the party?
Pretty much all of them, to be honest. 'Cause like I say, they're all sort of like keeping close together because they're like a flock. So if you pick your moment right, like, you know, when everyone's like on the backswing, you could pretty much get all of them in.
Okay. So then I will cast Soundburst on them.
Nice.
And oh my god, you're fucking kidding me. I'll do 1 point of damage to each of them, and they all have to make a wisdom save to avoid being stunned for 1 round.
Okay, so I'm not going to make a wisdom save for them. They're animate books. They might contain wisdom, but they themselves are not wise. So what happens is that this like boom, like bass note of sound as you hold your hand out, and almost this like intangible ripple of sonic force heads through the air, and these books immediately just go and drop to the floor. You can see like the pages are still sort of like stirring a little, but for the minute they appear to be like incapacitated.
With the animate books momentarily stunned, the friar and his 2 remaining conscious companions waste no time in mashing 3 of them into unrecognisable lumps of paper mache. However, the 2 still remaining slowly regain themselves and rise fluttering into the air.
So I'm just going to roll to see who they attack randomly, because they're all just sort of like picking themselves up. So the first one is going to attack the friar, which hits.
Ouch.
It does 3 hit points of damage.
Okay.
So this book launches itself into the air, and it actually sort of like attaches itself to the front of your face, like sort of wrapping the covers around your face. All you can smell is this damp mustiness of paper and ink. You're finding it very hard to breathe as you sort of stagger back with this thing adhered to your face. Okay, the second one is going to attack Big Mick. And as that zooms towards you, you duck down, Mick, and it sails over your head, still like...
Aha.
Okay, Lieutenant. One's attached to the friar, one's just shot over Big Mick's head. They're the only 2 left remaining. What do you do?
Reach over and assist the friar. Try and get my fingers in between the pages and tear it off his head.
Okay, now are you simply trying to remove it from the friar's head? Because if you're just doing that, I'll say you do it without a roll. If you're trying to damage the book, obviously that will be an attack roll.
I think freeing him from it might be my primary thing. I don't want to accidentally cut his head off or anything.
That's not a problem then. You put your hands under the cover, you just sort of wrench it off and like, throw it over your shoulder. It immediately and starts sort of circling around to come in for another attack. But Friar, you're like, and you can now breathe again. Okay, Big Mick. Still 2 books in play. Dangerous works of literature.
Yep. So that one that was just, I imagine the one that was just pulled off of Dunstan's face will be the closest, and I just like wind up for another big hit.
Go for it.
A 16.
Okay, you've hit. Roll your damage.
7.
Okay. Describe how you take down another one of these books with your mighty bone club.
I reckon I get it as it flaps open. I reckon I get a sweet hit that just splits it down the middle, and the pages just kind of fly out and come fluttering down.
And indeed, that's exactly what happens. The pages flutter down like so much confetti. Only one of these dangerous books remains, and it's the Good Friar.
Okay, so I will just attack it with my club.
Go for it.
Oh, no.
Okay, you swing, but it's diving down towards you. It changes its trajectory at the last minute, and you miss it. It's going to make an attack on you. What's your AC?
14.
So it'll hit with the +3. You take 6 hit points of damage. As this book just like smashes into your face.
Okay, so I am now down and bleeding.
Okay, so as you guys watch, this book just like smashes into Fry Dunstan's face, shattering his nose. Blood sprays out and he falls to the ground. Lieutenant, you're up.
I shall attempt to kill this thing. Mick, deal with the friar. I'll kill this last book.
Okay.
And I shall try to resort back to my stabbing rather than chopping, which seemed to work so well.
Okay, make your attack. Roll your damage. Okay, you cleave the last remaining book in half, and it falls to the ground. You look around you, still sort of holding your weapon, breathing quite heavily, but after a few moments it becomes obvious that no further attack is imminent. However, Fry Dunstan and Jackdaw are down.
Realising that they need to rest and recuperate, particularly the friar who is in a bad way with his nose broken, they make him as comfortable as possible and barricade the doors to the chamber, holing up. Around about 6 hours later, Jackdaw slowly begins to recover. He's pretty groggy and still looks a little out of it, and gazes around him blearily at the scenes of book carnage that surround him, papers and torn covers everywhere.
So I'll raise my head a bit and I'll just mumble, "What the fuck did we do? I don't get it."
It's all right, Jackdaw. It's all right. We put a stop to those books. You was injured in the fight, but the friar took a grievous wound, and we're resting. You rest for now. You can rest. We're quite safe, I think.
Okay, so you guys rest for 24 hours, so a day, at which point, Jackdaw, you've recovered a hit point. Fry Dunstan, you're now at 0, because you're now starting to heal. It's going to take, after another 5 hours, you regain consciousness, but rather like Jackdaw, you can now act normally. Jackdaw, you've only got 1 hit point. Friar, you're awake, but you're groggy. You don't really feel like you've got any strength in your limbs. You're in the state Jackdaw was in 24 hours ago. But you're conscious, you can talk. You sort of look around, you can see the remnants lying around you. There's this bedroll under your head.
Do I recover the hit point in this time?
Yeah, anyone who has lost hit points because 24 hours has passed, you regain a hit point.
Okay. I'll probably have sampled the honey as well at some point out of curiosity.
Oh, really? Okay.
The lieutenant tries the strange black honey. It's sweet with slight coppery and sour afternotes, and he appears to have taken no ill effect from consuming it.
Oh, I can't hear them talking, Big Mick.
Oh yeah, they're talking, they're chatting away.
Oh,
I'm surprised you can't hear them.
It must be you. You must attract. You must have some kind of animal attraction. What was the with the monkeys? Now the bees.
It has been said. You wouldn't be the first to notice that.
The group decide to hole up for another 24 hours, allowing Fry Dunstan to recover somewhat.
We'll be eating some of those pages because we'll be in here for a while. It's like something to eat.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. You take some of the leather thonging off the book that the lieutenant got, and you're chewing on it almost like jerky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so another 24 hours pass. You've all regained a hit point. You're now on 1 hit point, Friar.
Whilst we're there, I might as well have a little look through the books on mythology and just see if there's anything that catches my eye.
Okay. Absolutely fine. Okay, you're looking through the books on mythology. Most of them are sort of books on folk tales, legends, etc. Nothing particularly interesting until you're actually looking at one of the downed books. It's the sort of leather thonged one that the lieutenant sort of chopped in half. You see that Jackdaw's actually eating the thonging, but as you're sort of picking up some of the pages and looking at them, it appears to be a list of mythological creatures, their names.
Oh, right. Has it got these? I don't suppose it's got any mention of these bees in there, or these books, or anything that we've encountered, or like the guy with the tentacles that was sucking at my brains.
It doesn't appear to have. However, when you sort of show these pages around. Fry Dunstan, as you're looking at it, you're pretty sure some of the, sort of propped up quite painfully, as you're looking at some of these names, you're pretty sure these are the names of demons and angels.
Okay. Is our friend a lawyer in there?
No, your friend the lawyer didn't actually tell you his name.
Oh.
They don't normally go around telling you their names, do they?
No.
If these are their proper names, this would be handy information to have.
I just have two quick system questions. The most recent 24 hours when I was at 0 hit points.
Yep.
Would that have been enough to be copying the genealogy book?
Yeah, that's fine. It's not a strenuous activity, so yeah, not a problem.
Okay, and now that I'm on 1 hit point, do I have my spells back?
You do, yeah. You can now use spells.
Okay, so I will heal myself.
Okay, go for it.
Now suitably recovered, Friar Dunstan calls on the power of the gods to heal both himself and Jackdaw of their injuries.
There's all this like healings going on and everything. Lieutenant, like, the back of your neck's getting quite itchy.
Oh, shit.
All right.
You scratch it when you sort of bring your hand around. There's like flakes of skin under your fingernails.
Hey, Mick, can you see anything wrong with the back of my neck?
I'll have a look for you, Lieutenant. Let me have a look.
Okay, you're gonna have a look, and it looks like a sort of quite a red sort of like sore patch. You see like bits of skin have been scratched away, perhaps where the lieutenant was scratching, and underneath it, his skin almost has like a slightly sort of like scaly sort of look to it.
Well, I don't quite know how to put this, Lieutenant, but you're looking a bit scaly, mate. Your skin's looking red and scaly.
Scaly?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything to be concerned about.
Friar Dunstan, can you have a look and give us your professional opinion?
Yeah, what are you trying to say?
So I'll examine it and see what I can see.
Okay, you have a look at it, and the although you can see that there's this patch of like skin on the back of his neck, it almost looks like, like if you have an injury and it sort of scabs over, you get that hard sort of like crusty sort of coating on it. That's what the back of his neck looks like. You sort of like prod it a little bit, and you don't really feel anything as he's prodding it, Lieutenant.
Okay. And does it look like a kind of blister, or
like it looks as though like a patch of like the skin on the back of his neck's like hardened somehow.
Okay.
Could be an adverse reaction to the honey, perhaps.
Do I get the sense that there's something underneath the hardened skin, or just that the skin is hardened?
You don't see anything underneath it. It just feels like the skin's gone sort of like hard and almost like crusty.
Okay. Okay.
The friar continues his examination of the lieutenant's strange skin condition over the next hour. It seems as though his old soft skin is sloughing away, and what's beneath has a faint yellow tinge to it and is slightly armoured, although he appears to have lost some of the feeling in his epidermis. Realising that it doesn't seem to have actually been causing any harm to the lieutenant, they decide to push on further into the library.
As you're sort of heading down a passageway, again lined with bookshelves, leaving the buzzing of this papier-mâché hive far behind, in the distance you can hear a clanking, a sort of mechanical clanking. It was like coming from further down the passageway. As you continue moving, you eventually arrive in a large chamber which appears to contain a vast machine of some kind. It's a tangle of thin glass tubes and valves which appear to have different coloured steam flowing through it. There are other odd components, like there are clockwork counters which are continually ticking up. You can also see what appear to be these large glass containers, each of which appears to have a brain inside it with wires coming out of it, linking it to the rest of the machinery. There's numerous dials and sort of readouts. There's also a huge canvas screen and another one of these strange sort of mechanical keyboards, although this machine is orders of magnitude larger than the one you saw previously. What do you do?
Does it have the same printout ticker tape thing?
It doesn't appear to have the ticker tape. However, you notice that at irregular intervals, like strings of characters appear to appear on this large canvas screen and then disappear.
Oh, okay.
I will approach and type in, how do we find shelf 500, section C, subsection Red Sea, or whatever it was.
Okay, on the canvas screen, plain text appears that says, continue down the second corridor to the right, take the third door on the left.
Well, that sounds all right.
Yeah, that was easier than spending a soul.
We still have to get out though. Can I type in what does this wand do and indicate the silver birchwood rod?
Okay, after a moment, text appears on the canvas screen. It says, halts progression.
Halts progression or progression?
Progression.
Okay.
I'll type, how do I cure my ailment?
The text appears on the screen. It says, specify ailment.
Residual effect upon tasting honey, large bee honey.
The response says, permanent mutagenic effect. The group asked the strange machine a number of other questions and discovered that they were apparently attacked by wild bucks and that librarians are being dispatched to the location. Big Mick suggests they get out of here before the librarians arrive and ask questions about all of the books that they destroyed in the combat.
Okay, one final question for the machine then. How do we get out once we have found our prize?
It says, blood sacrifice summons door.
Okay. Should we move on then? Anyone want to ask any other questions? This machine is bigger than the last one, is it, John?
Yeah, it's huge compared to the others. If the others were like a laptop, this is like an old, like, sort of like early mainframe, like with huge machines.
Okay. I'll just say to the lieutenant then that this machine may be more powerful than the previous one. If you want to ask for more details about your lady love.
Yeah. Being slightly preoccupied with his current predicament. Yes, I shall ask it. Where will I find my my darling?
Okay, that's absolutely fine. It says below the Temple of Gale in Bishopsgate. After some debate, the group decide to continue their efforts to find a cure for the laughing plague and follow the directions provided to them by the Great Machine. And as you head down the various corridors, turning as indicated, you head out into what appears to be a much older part of the library. The shelves here are full of old tomes that have been weathered by many years, and each of them appears to deal with again, like a particular demonic entity. Each of the books is concerning them. I mean, in all your days, like working for the church, Friar, you've never seen such a massive collection of books dealing with the demonic.
Okay, so understanding that we have the page that shows the face, I'd be looking for some book that kind of is around about that size, that kind of might do, that looks like there might be missing a page, or certainly in that size range.
Okay, you're looking around and you're not finding anything at first, and as you're searching the shelves, you hear this soft coming from a shelf further in.
Okay, so I will move towards the sound.
Okay, you round one of these shelves and you see sort of in the aisle between two of these bookshelves is what appears to be a lectern, and there is a large book bound in what appears to be human skin with like a face on the front of it, Necronomicon style, and the book appears to be chained down to the lectern. As you sort of move closer, you can see the book sort of like is going like that, as though it's trying to sort of wriggle its way through of the chains.
Okay. So I will approach the book and see what it is called.
Okay, there's no title on the front of the book. However, on the front of it is what appears to be like a flayed human face. You can see like the compressed, sort of contorted face on the front cover of the book. And as you watch, the mouth of the face appears to twitch in time with the soft laughter that is unmistakably coming from the book.
Okay. Well, this is pretty scary occult stuff. So what I would like to do is pull out some holy water and put a drop on the book.
Okay, you put a drop of holy water on the book and immediately it sizzles, almost like you dripped acid on it, and there's a whiff of acrid smoke comes up from it.
Okay.
The laughter immediately ceases.
Okay. Is there a lock on the chains, or any way to open the chains so we can open the book?
There's what appears to be a large padlock securing the chains.
And is there any sign of a key anywhere, or...
Not as far as you can see.
Okay.
What are you thinking there, Friar? You seem deep in contemplation.
I guess I'm thinking that we should destroy the book, but I'm also thinking that maybe we need to read the book to understand what was summoned into our world. So I don't know whether we should open it or destroy it, and I don't know if we do destroy it whether we will be allowed leave.
It looks a bit dangerous to me. What with all them chains around it and the fact that it's laughing or
yes.
chuckling.
Has the laughter started back up again?
No, it hasn't.
Any thoughts?
Well, if we go messing with it, maybe destroying it, we're gonna really upset them librarians, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is our fight.
No. Is this the room that we're looking for?
Yes, we believe it is.
Whilst all this is going on, what's Jackdaw doing?
So are we now in the restricted section? Like, are there, the Necronomicon is over that way? Like, are there other, like, horrifying, apparently blasphemous tomes relaying about?
Indeed, there are.
Yeah. So are they all, like, bound up, or is this one, like, for special? Like, this is the bad tome here.
This appears to be the only one that's chained to a lectern.
Yeah. Well, we came here for the information, and I'm going to presume the information is in that book.
Is the book correctly located to be where we're looking for the information?
Indeed,
Yes.
it is.
Yes.
Okay.
So, that being the case, I don't know why, but I understand the alphabet of hell. I'm sure we'll figure that one out later, but Good Friar, I understand the language for whatever reason, so I can take a look in the book and see if we can find what we need. I presume it's in the book, because where else would it be?
Well, I can have a go opening the lock if you like.
If we can, then I can try to read it.
And I can keep the holy water ready
Mhm.
to in case it gets
yeah.
out of hand.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
go
I've
to
got
the door and just wait to see if anyone approaches from outside.
I've got a knack with this sort of thing. Maybe I can. Well, maybe I can open it if I fiddle with it a little bit.
So does Big Mick come over with the crowbar? It's like, my finesse tools, yes.
Yeah, I'll head over to it.
Okay. So do you want to make a lock-picking roll?
Yeah, I'll have a look at these two fellas that are hanging around, as if to say, "What are you looking at? Go on, look away," whilst I work my magic.
Trade secrets, is it?
I just like reach into my coat, pull out a little roll of tools.
Okay, so it's a dex roll. You get to add your modifier and your level.
Yeah, I'm a bit crap at this. So yeah, dex. Oh no, because I've got a third primary. That's right. So yeah. Oof.
Okay. You think you probably can open it, but it's going to take you like a long time, and it's not going to be a quiet job.
This is proving to be a little more tricky than I anticipated.
We do need it open without breaking the lock, because we need to lock it up before we leave again.
Well, I guess if we want to, we
Well,
could.
perhaps you'd like to have a go yourself, Friar. I'm doing my bloody best.
No. The friar is like he's people open the pearly gates, not these things. So
Yeah. Well, perhaps if I had a set of keys, that'd help.
we could go back to the big machine and ask it how to open the book.
Yeah, but
Unless
they said the librarians will come in.
John,
Yes.
just in case this place is managed by incompetent imbeciles, basically, I want to canvass the room for a key. It's like, look under the mats. Oh, here we go.
Okay. Roll me a D30, sir.
D30, you say? This is an exotic die. 11.
Okay. You look around. You don't find anything resembling a key. However, as you're sort of looking around and you're searching the top shelves, you happen to glance up at the ceiling. You're the first person to do so, and you can see that sort of there's a painting on the ceiling. It's very faded and very worn, but it appears to depict an angelic figure holding a sword.
No keys, no locks in the picture?
Nope.
Books?
Nope.
Do you figure, and I point up at the fresco, do you think that's one of the good ones or one of the bad ones?
It certainly looks angelic. Would it be someone that I'd recognise?
You think it's a depiction of Gale, the Golden Angel?
Gale is the what was it? The Temple of Gale in Bishopsgate, beneath the Temple of Gale in Bishopsgate, where.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps we're beneath. Perhaps that's where we are now.
You would know, Friar, that Gale, also known as the Gold Angel or the Shining One, is said to be the angel that takes souls of good folk to the gods. It's a psychopomp. It ferries the good souls to heaven after they die.
And this picture just shows Gale's with a sword, does it?
It appears to be Gale, sort of like that, holding the sword, sort of like blade downwards in front of it, wings outspread behind it, all in this faded, chipped gold paint.
Okay. I think Jack Daw's right. I think we should go back to the machine.
I mean, if we want to not break the thing, and I guess I kind of don't, because like those books were just wild, and I don't know that we want intentionally violent books to be attacking us. That would be a bad idea, I think.
Well, I'm happy to go back if you fellas want to go back. If you're worried about me breaking this lock, I mean, there is a chance. So, a bit more information wouldn't hurt.
I guess we're heading back.
Yeah.
Okay, so you head back into the room with this giant computer, this conglomeration of tubes, canvas screens, dials, etc., with this mechanical keyboard in front of it.
So we know the sort of like Dewey Decimal of this satanic book. So I'm gonna type in like how does one open, and then the book located in, and then like the location.
Okay. After a few moments of whirring and clicking from these dials, text appears on the canvas screen saying the Sword of Gale is the key.
Friar, is there a prayer to, for swords from heaven?
Perhaps there was something written on the sword, like some runes or something.
I guess we'll go back.
Yeah, before we do, can I type in, how do we cure the laughing plague?
Okay, you type that in. There's whirring and clicking, and it says dispatch the source.
Okay. And
So,
then I'll ask,
yeah,
where
follow-up
is
question.
source? Yeah, where is source?
In London.
Ah, shit. Well, if we want to go to London, I know that key. I know what opens that door. Oh,
That's like a demon, and it's some sort of creature from the pit causing the plague we've established, haven't we?
He said that there was an idea summoned.
Idea.
Yeah. Not a creature per se, but an idea that was summoned.
Mm-hmm.
Let us go back and examine the painting of the sword and see if we can.
yeah.
Okay, you head back into the room where this evil-looking book is chained to the lectern. You have a look at the painting. It's as I described previously.
Okay. How high is the ceiling?
It's about 2 stories high, like the equivalent of like a normal house, sort of 2 stories high. There are sort of like ladders going to the bookshelves that you can use. That's not a problem. Or you can climb on the bookshelves.
Where's that sword pointing, John?
As you look at it, you can see that although like it's flat and the sword's down to its chest, the sword appears to be pointing at the book on the lectern.
I think I'll grab a ladder and try and climb up and see if there's any writing on it or.
Okay, you climb up. You don't see any writing on the sword. However, you do notice that now you're closer. Although the paintings are quite faded and chipped, it's noticeably less so on the sword.
Can I reach out and touch the painting of the sword and see what it feels like?
You reach out and touch the painting of the sword. It feels like cold metal.
Oh, so it feels like an actual sword.
Indeed.
Okay, so can I try and take it down
Yep.
off the ceiling?
You reach out and your hand actually seems to like pass into this painting, briefly becoming like 2-dimensional, and you feel your hand close around the hilt of the sword.
Okay. And then I guess I'll pull my sword, my hand on the sword down and...
Okay, as you pull your hand out, it becomes 3-dimensional again, and you pull it out holding this golden sword.
Blimey, that ain't something you see every day.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, I think,
Sure is.
recently.
Okay, so I'll screw you down the ladder
Yep.
and I will touch the sword to the lock.
Okay, you touch the sword to the lock, and a few seconds later, the blade of the sword bursts into flames, and as it does so, the lock just disintegrates and falls away, and the chains like fall off the book.
Okay.
Oops.
Indeed.
A few moments later, the flames die down on this golden sword.
Okay.
So
So-
to London then.
Well, do you want to read the book first?
Well, we do know the source, but I can take a look if you like.
Sorry, do we know the source?
Well, I thought, and I'll just go and read the book.
Okay, that's fine. You open the book. There's no title on the outside. There's like an interior title page, and the title is The Ballad of Saucy Jack.
Mm-hmm. Is it an Infernal or a Havenlander?
It appears to be written in Havenlander.
Okay, so we have Saucy Jack.
Have we ever heard of the Ballad of Saucy Jack?
Roll me a d6. It sounds vaguely familiar to you, but you're having trouble putting your finger on it.
I'll have a go.
Again, you think you might have heard it mentioned before, maybe like when you were a child, like a nursery rhyme or something, but it's been so long and you've seen so many horrible things since then that, again, sure, there's nothing like clearer in your mind.
Okay.
Okay, are you continuing to read the book, Jackdaw?
Yes.
Okay, you turn the title page over and continue reading. It appears to be describing a sort of fairy tale bogeyman, I suppose you could call it. It's this almost like jester-like figure. You see some sort of drawings of one of those old style like comedy masks of someone dressed like a jester, and it appears to be describing this sort of bogeyman that was supposed to like come for people who took too much glee in killing and murder and slaying. I suppose if you were saying like Gale is the golden angel who like takes good people to their just reward, then this sort of like bogeyman that's being described, this Saucy Jack, is almost like a sort of the bogeyman of like murderers and robbers, and he was eventually sort of from what you can read in this book was sort of turned into a bit of a nursery rhyme, where like parents had cautioned their children, like, oh, you've got to behave and do what you say, otherwise like Saucy Jack's going to come away and like steal you away in the night. And it mentions that every time he steals someone away, all that they hear is this sort of laughter as he disappears and the person's never seen again.
I relay some of these details, obviously. I don't... Well, maybe, yeah, I'll just recite the whole thing as I read it. Because that's always good. You always speak out loud the infernal books you find when you read them.
Right, definitely. Nothing ever goes wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But as you're sort of reading it out and you're going through it, because this book's sort of strange. It's like part sort of like history book, part sort of fairy tale. And you think, after like reading it through a couple of times, Jackdaw, that like this was originally a person who the book seems to be suggesting was guilty of like a particular amount of like gruesome killings. He was then executed, but there were like various rumours that his like ghost still like walked to the earth and sort of like came for other people who took glee in killing, and that gradually got sort of broadened and corrupted until it became almost like this sort of bogeyman style figure, this like fable, if you will.
Sounds like the sort of character that could potentially have a laughing plague associated with him, do you think?
I think he might be the plague. So probably it's either just this figure and whatever curse he suffers from that causes the plague.
Mind you, if he's a fable, that would make him an idea rather than an actual thing.
So do you think it's people who know about this character that are then emulating his supposed deeds, and that causes the disease to generate? Are we just talking about a bunch of murderers is my question, I guess. Like just a bunch of sadistic murderers who then, because of this curse, they actually summon the plague. by their glee. I don't know. Or do
Sorry,
I, John?
I wonder if it's got something to do with that Queen. She's gleefully murdering people all the time and stuff, isn't she? Oh, Elspeth.
Well, that'll be the Royal Army.
Yeah, the Queen doesn't tend to murder too many people herself. She's got people for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, John, anything else to be gleaned from the book as it is currently? Like,
The only other thing you see is as you're flicking through it, one of the pages, one of the illuminations in it, shows what appears to be a hooded figure holding a knife up high. You can't see the face. Again, they're wearing one of these sort of like theatre comedy masks. And as you look at this picture, you're sure you've seen something like this somewhere before.
What about these university?
Sorry, go ahead.
Nice. I was just going to say, what about these university students that keep having to kill people to get into the library?
I don't think that's
Connected.
I wouldn't say that the library is causing the plague necessarily. I don't, because the well, we know how we got in here, but the students, was it a chicken they killed or a goat?
It was a dog.
Dog. So they killed a dog, and I'm guessing if I right now put a dagger to my flesh and put the blood on the wall, that would be enough.
Did we not try that? You tried that though, didn't you? And it started to happen, but it weren't enough.
Okay, so probably then some death, but it doesn't need to be human.
What about all these missing orphans that the friars heard about, and there's a lot of youngsters going missing, and we found that body.
Though, I show up the jester figure in the pose. I'm like, for some reason this is familiar to me, and I really hope it is not me. And I just sort of like look around as if to I expect the realization to hit me as I say the words like, I am the murderer.
As you're sort of thinking those cold, chilling thoughts, you briefly have a sort of flash of memory, and it's not as though you're the person sort of there holding the knife, wearing the mask. It's as though you're lying on your back looking up at that person sort of holding the knife up.
Okay.
It's these missing kids, man. They're sacrificing them. It's a cult. It's a cult.
Well, that's entirely plausible. I don't remember exactly, but I've seen this figure before, and I'm fairly sure it wasn't me. I think we need to get back to London.
You've got a load of scarring on you, haven't you? And weird cuts and things.
Yeah. You saw him on the bridge, from basically the waist up, just buck naked, and it's just a huge tract of his skin is just flayed off. So it's just this gruesome scar tissue. There's branding. There's cuts and carvings of all kinds on his skin.
And the body we fished out of the river, that had these markings, didn't it?
It has some of the. Yep.
Have you seen any of those markings in the book while you've been leafing through?
I'm guessing no, John.
No.
Yeah, because it's dedicated to the figure, I guess, and the whoever's doing the carving is probably doing their own ritual of whatever kind. But I think we need to get back to London. Your erstwhile companion, apparently in London, I've seen this figure before, and I think that was in London too. And we know that we need to kill the source. The source is this idea of funny death, I guess, or like gleeful death. And I think we need to go to London to find some murderers, figure out why they kill, look for these kids, maybe look around the river, because there's. If I was in the river and we fished out the other unfortunate from the river, they're somewhere around the river. So we need to, or we could stalk the river, try to catch them.
Upriver we need to go, don't we?
Yeah.
We keep.
Yeah. Or if there's like a sewer outlet, and we were talking with the lieutenant as well, the sewers, talking about that before. So probably upriver and the sewers.
Is Bishopsgate upriver, John?
Bishopsgate, not exactly. It's slap bang in the middle of like all the big districts. So, and it's kind of it's a canal access place. It looks like from the map. So
Indeed.
not exactly on the river. It's close, but
I think we need to have a little bit of a mooch around Bishopsgate, and I agree. We need to get out of this place and get back.
Me too. I will put the sword back on top of the book and call on the power of Gale to lock this book away.
Okay, that's fine. You place the sword on top of it. The chains don't magically like go back over it or whatever, but the book does stop moving as you put the sword on top of it.
I put the chains, like wrap them ineffectually.
That's fine.
Okay.
So, what can we kill? I look around.
Don't look at me.
I'm guessing no. I'm guessing like killing books isn't really what the door is looking for. I'm just gonna check, just to make sure it doesn't work differently on this side. And I go to a wall.
Yeah.
And take my knife.
Okay.
Get a cut going on the old palm, and I like smear some of it on the wall. Like whispering to myself, like this is a doorway to London, a doorway to London.
Okay, you smear your blood on the wall. It'll do like a hit point of damage just because of the amount of blood you've got to put on the wall. And you step back. After a few moments, a blue doorway appears on the wall.
I immediately push it ajar, just like get the door and get the foot in the door, just in case.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Like, I look back at the others, like I did it.
It worked.
Where does it look like it leads?
Okay, you look through the door and you can see what appears to be Bridgetown. It's the middle of the day. You can see people like trading. There's all the various stalls sat along Bridgetown. You see a couple of peekers wandering around.
I didn't consider that this place might lead to a very bad place in London, but I'm glad it's Bridgetown. Okay, something to keep in mind though. And I push the door open and move forward cautiously.
Yep, not a problem. You push the door open and step out onto Bridgetown. Immediately the sound of people floods in around you. Like I say, it's the middle of the day. You can hear people shouting and like trading. There's people wandering by. You can hear like peekers sort of like checking people over as they did with you when you went onto the bridge previously.
Oh boy.
I shall follow through. I'll follow through.
Okay, Lieutenant and Friar, are you following them through?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll follow through and keep the sword with me and see what happens.
You're taking the golden sword with you. Okay, that's fine. You step out onto Bridgetown. This golden sword still in your hand. The door slams shut behind you all as you step through and vanishes.
Okay. So I will hide the sword in my clothes so as not to draw attention to it.
Okay, you start to tuck the sword away, and as you're doing so, you hear a voice from one of the peekers go, "Hey, what are you doing?" And that's where we're going to end the session for today.
It's like hiding this golden angel swords. It's like nothing to see here.
Okay, so thank you very much for playing, guys. Obviously, I hope you all enjoyed the session. I'm happy to chat, as always, for a while afterwards. But for now, just to say thank you very much for playing, guys. Thank you to anyone who's watching this either now or in the future. Take care, and hopefully we'll catch you for the next session. I'm going to end the stream now, so take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See ya.